When I got a promotion, my in-laws decided to celebrate by hosting a dinner for my husband. He must be so proud of himself for supporting you, they said. During dessert, my toast left them speechless. I, 34 female, just got the biggest promotion of my life. I've been working in tech for about 10 years. I started as a junior analyst in a small company and slowly, through long hours, learning new skills, and dealing with more than my fair share of condescending coworkers, I worked my way up. 2 weeks ago, I was promoted to senior project manager at a mid-sized but fast-growing firm in Seattle. It wasn't just a raise, it was a big title shift, more responsibility, and the respect that comes with it. I was proud of myself. It felt good. I hadn't taken the straight path. I'd been laid off once, changed careers twice, got my master's degree while working full-time. So when my boss called me into his office and told me the promotion was mine, I felt like every single late night, every "you sure this is the right career for a woman" comment I brushed off, it all added up to this. I came home that day glowing. My husband, Mark, 36 male, hugged me tight and said he was proud of me. He's a graphic designer who works freelance. His schedule's more flexible than mine, and when I had to travel or stay late, he handled a lot of the house stuff. I never took that for granted. Here's where things start to go sideways. 3 days later, Mark gets a call from his mom, Susan. She's hosting a small dinner to celebrate the good news. But she tells him something weird. "We just want to show how proud we are of you, honey. You've been such a rock for her. She couldn't have done it without you." Excuse me? He tells me this with kind of a nervous chuckle. He knows how I'll react. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe she just worded it badly. Now, for context. Susan and George, Mark's dad, are very old school. They're polite on the surface, but they've always had this undercurrent of women belong in the kitchen. Not in a loud, aggressive way. More like, "That's cute you work, but don't forget your husband comes first." When we got married, Susan kept asking when I'd quit my job and start focusing on the real stuff, meaning babies. I laughed it off. I always kept things civil, never fought with her. But we've never been close. Anyway, Saturday comes and we drive out to their place. It's a big house in Bellevue. Susan answers the door in pearls. Literally, pearls. Like we were walking into an episode of Leave It to Beaver. There are about 12 people there, mostly family and a few of their friends, who I barely know. We sit down for dinner. Mark's cousin is there, his aunt, even one of George's old business buddies. The whole thing felt off. Everyone kept saying things like, "Mark, you must be so proud," and "it takes a strong man to support a career woman." Someone actually said, "Behind every successful woman is a man who gave up everything." I almost choked on my wine. They weren't trying to be mean. They thought they were being nice. Like, praising him was somehow the same as celebrating me. No one asked me how I did it, what the role involved, what challenges I faced. Every single toast was about him. And he just sat there, kind of awkwardly smiling, occasionally looking at me like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening either." Then dessert comes out. Homemade cheesecake. Susan stands up, glass in hand. She says, "Let's raise a toast to Mark, who stood strong beside his wife through all her ups and downs." She's a tough one, that girl, but Mark, we all know who the real hero is. The room clapped. I felt my jaw clench so hard it hurt. I looked around. No one saw anything wrong with what she said. So I stood up. I took my glass. Mark gave me this quick, subtle, "Oh God, look," but he didn't stop me. I said, "Thanks for the lovely dinner. Really, this means a lot. But I just want to say something, since we're doing toasts." The room got quiet. I got this promotion because I earned it. I worked for it. I didn't coast. I didn't lean on anyone. I stayed late. I solved problems nobody else could. I learned new systems on my own time. I worked weekends. I built relationships. I took hits, and I kept going. Mark is amazing, and I love him, but this achievement? It's mine. So, If we're going to toast something, let's toast to women who get things done, even when nobody believes they can. Even when the world tries to hand their credit to someone else. Dead. Silence. Susan's smile froze. Her wine glass lowered like she was in slow motion. George cleared his throat. Someone coughed. Mark put his arm around me and muttered, "Damn right." Then, silence again. I sat down, took a big bite of cheesecake, and said, "This is actually really good, Susan." Nobody spoke for at least another minute. I don't know what's going to happen next. I haven't heard from Susan or George since. Mark keeps saying he wants to talk to them, but I told him not to bother. I've spent too long letting people pat me on the head for my accomplishments like I'm a toddler who drew a decent crayon picture. I'm done with that. This isn't over. We drove home in silence. Not angry silence, just heavy. Like there was too much in the air to cut through. Mark finally said, "You didn't lie, you know. Everything you said was true." I nodded. "Still think I should have kept quiet?" He shook his head. "No. But you just dropped a bomb in the middle of their dinner party." We didn't hear anything from his parents the next day. Or the day after. Which, honestly, was fine by me. But then the real backlash started. On Wednesday, Mark sent him a long text. I only saw the part where she said, "Your wife embarrassed the entire family." That wasn't the time or place. His cousin unfollowed me on Instagram. George, his dad, emailed Mark a passive-aggressive note saying he was disappointed to see resentment taking root in our family. Then Susan called. I was in the kitchen, heating leftovers. Mark put her on speaker because at this point, we weren't hiding anything. "I just want to understand," she said. Her voice was cold. Too calm. "Why you thought it was appropriate to attack your husband in front of everyone who loves him." I almost laughed. "I didn't attack him. I corrected the narrative. You humiliated him." "No. I humiliated you. That's why you're mad." Mark winced. Susan went quiet for a beat, then snapped, "You're an ungrateful little girl, and you don't deserve the man you married." That did it. Mark stepped in. "Mom, don't. Just stop. You're way out of line. You're letting her poison you against your own family." "No. I'm just finally seeing how much you refuse to respect her." She hung up. 2 days later, Mark gets added to a new group chat. It's got his parents, his brother, who lives in Chicago, his sister, and 2 aunts. The chat is called Family First. First message, "We need to have a conversation about what's happening to Mark and his marriage." Yes, his marriage. Like it's a separate creature dragging him underwater. Messages poured in. "She's too aggressive. She doesn't understand family values. Why can't she just be thankful?" Mark left the group within 10 minutes. He didn't even reply. Just left. And that was when things really cracked open. The next weekend, Mark and I went out to grab coffee. We were walking through Pike Place when he said, "There's something I need to tell you." I looked at him. "Okay. You remember when I said I was fine not working full-time? That I was happy freelancing while you chased your goals?" "Yeah. Well, it wasn't always about the work. A few years ago, when you were up for that team lead position, Mom told me I should step back. She said if I earned more than you or had a bigger job, it would hurt your chances. She said companies don't like women who aren't the main breadwinners." I stopped walking. "She said that to you?" He nodded. I didn't believe it at first. But then I started to wonder. I didn't want to be the reason you got passed over. So I just didn't apply to things I wanted. Took smaller gigs. My heart sank. "You did that for me?" I thought I was helping. But now, seeing how they talk about your success like it's mine, I realized they played both of us. That night, I sat on the couch, scrolling through old photos. Wedding pictures. Holidays. Susan and George smiling like they were proud of us. And all I could think about was how they never once asked what I actually do. What my promotion even meant. They just assumed it was a story with Mark at the center. The next morning, we got an invitation. Another family dinner. But this time, it was being hosted at Mark's sister's house, not Susan's. The invitation said, "Let's talk things out. No drama. Just family." I looked at Mark. "You think they want to talk, or trap me into apologizing?" He stared at the invite. "Honestly, I think they're about to show you who they really are." We debated for days whether to go. Mark said he didn't trust them, and I felt the same, but a tiny part of me thought, what if they're finally ready to listen? So we showed up. Mark's sister, Jenna, greeted us with a weirdly bright smile. Her husband, Tom, nodded but didn't say much. Everyone else was already seated: Susan, George, the aunts, the brother from Chicago. It looked like some kind of family intervention setup. Even the lighting felt hostile. There were name cards. And we weren't seated next to each other. Mark gave me a look like, "Here we go." Dinner started. Small talk. Forced laughter. Then Susan raised her glass again. Before dessert, we thought it would be good to clear the air. "Here it comes." She stood, looked directly at me, and said, "We all understand that times are changing. Women want careers, and that's fine. But what's not okay is turning your success into a weapon against your own family." I blinked. Mark started to speak, but Susan raised a hand. "Let me finish." Then George chimed in. "We wanted to give you both a chance to correct course. For the sake of your marriage." "Wait, correct course?" Then Jenna slid an envelope across the table toward me. "We found something," she said. "We thought you should see it before things go any further." I opened it. Inside was a printout of a screenshot, my private Slack messages from work. A thread between me and a coworker, venting about family drama. I'd said, "His mom acts like he invented the idea of supporting your wife. I swear she'd throw me a party for cleaning the kitchen if Mark handed me the sponge." I froze. "Where did you get this?" I asked slowly. Jenna smiled. "Let's just say someone in your office thought Mark deserved to know how you speak about him." Mark looked confused. "Who at her job would even know you?" That's when Tom, her husband, raised his hand like a kid in school. "I did some freelance IT work for a friend of hers. She left her Slack open once when I was troubleshooting. I took a screenshot." I stared at him. "That's illegal." He shrugged. "It's family." Mark stood up so fast his chair nearly flipped. "You hacked her account?" Jenna cut in. "Don't be dramatic. She said all those things. Now she's mad we read them. They were private. And disrespectful," Susan added. I stood too. My heart was pounding. "So you all coordinated this? Had a whole gotcha moment planned for dinner?" George actually had the nerve to say, "We're trying to protect Mark from a bitter, ungrateful partner." That's when I lost it. "You want the truth? Fine. I've been biting my tongue for years." I showed up, played nice, smiled through your passive digs and your backhanded compliments. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I figured you'd come around. Everyone went quiet. But this? Spying on me? Printing my private conversations? That's not family. That's a mob." Mark's face was pale. His hands were clenched. "We're leaving." But Susan wasn't done. "If you walk out now," she said, "don't bother coming back." We left. We didn't speak in the car. Not for 10 minutes. Then Mark whispered, "I can't believe they went that far." I whispered back, "It's not even the worst part." He looked at me. I pulled out my phone. "You remember Rachel? From HR. Yeah? She told me last week someone asked about my position. Said they were a concerned family member, calling anonymously. They asked if my job was stable. If the company knew about any internal tension." She flagged it. Thought it was weird. Mark's jaw dropped. "They were trying to sabotage me," I said. "They didn't just want to embarrass me. They wanted to break me." After the dinner ambush, I couldn't sleep. Neither could Mark. We stayed up, trying to understand how the people who claimed to love us could do something so underhanded. Mark kept repeating, "They tried to ruin your job. They crossed a line." That week, I took a few days off work. Not because I felt guilty, but because I needed to plan. They wanted to play dirty? Fine. I could play too. I started digging. You see, Susan liked to brag. A lot. She'd post pictures of her real estate business on Facebook, new listings, client testimonials, and stuff that looked a little too polished. One post stood out to me, a big congratulatory post from 3 months ago. Something about closing a record deal. It mentioned a property in Kirkland that, funny enough, was still listed as unsold in the county records. So I called a contact I had in city compliance, someone I worked with when we did a zoning project last year. I just asked, "Hey, are you familiar with Susan from G______ Realty?" And suddenly, things got interesting. Apparently, she was under review for some documents that didn't quite match. Altered staging dates. Phantom buyers. Nothing confirmed yet, but enough to raise red flags. I didn't even need to do anything more. All I did was email the tip anonymously, with screenshots. It blew up 2 weeks later. Susan's license was temporarily suspended pending investigation. The firm she worked for distanced themselves quickly. They said they had no prior knowledge of her conduct. George, trying to protect his name, blamed her entirely. I heard from one of Mark's cousins that their home had been refinanced last year to keep up appearances. The lawsuits started not long after that. A couple of her clients filed claims. The business? Toast. Then came Tom, remember him? The guy who snooped in my Slack? Turns out, when he bragged to someone about what he did, that someone happened to know a guy who knew a guy who worked in digital forensics. Mark and I made one phone call. That's all it took. I didn't sue, but I did report the breach. It was enough to get him blacklisted from 2 major tech networks in the Seattle area. His freelance contracts vanished in a week. It hit him hard. Mark didn't just lose trust in his family, he lost the illusion. He started therapy. He cut contact with everyone except his younger cousin, who quietly texted, "You were right all along." They never saw her as your equal. Then he told me something I didn't expect. I knew what they were like. I just didn't want to believe it. I wanted the easy version of the truth. That hit me harder than anything, because he was right. I had seen it all too. The small digs, the controlling smiles, the pressure to stay polite. And I kept playing nice until it exploded. So yeah, I made a mistake too. I let it fester. I let it build. I should have spoken out years ago. It's been 6 months. Susan and George are completely cut off. They've tried calling, sending letters, even showing up once. But Mark stood firm. Tom never apologized. Jenna sent a single message. "Hope you're happy." And honestly, I am. I got promoted again. I now lead a team of 30 and mentor 3 other women who've gone through similar crap. Mark picked up a new gig, better hours, better clients, no family strings. We bought a place of our own. Cozy, quiet, no drama. But in the back of my closet, there's still that printed screenshot, the Slack message that started it all. I kept it not as a warning, but as a reminder. If you don't speak for yourself, someone else will rewrite your story for you. And I'll never let that happen again.